Breakfast is livelier today on account of Lance, who sits beside Emmeline listening to everything the royal family is discussing with a broad smile on his face. Even though the king and Klaud are both absent from the table, Lance talks enough for the both of them. In fact, ever since he arrived, Lance has somehow managed to put himself in the spotlight for every family meal. He does not start conversations on his own, but he's always quick to respond, and usually with a smile. He seems inherently interested in everything that he hears. It's amazing to me that he manages to be so animated and attentive so early in the morning. My thoughts are preoccupied during breakfast, hovering somewhere between Claud's duties and my own. I listen while I eat, sometimes nodding along with the conversation. I have almost cleared my plate when Lance speaks directly to me, jolting me out of my reverie.
Have you ever spoken with the witches in Brigantia, Princess?
I look up and blink, trying to piece together what he might have been saying. The witches from Brigantia.
Who's he? Why are you going to ask this poor woman questions this early in the morning? What is wrong with you? Klaud tells me that you interact with many witches because of your position as Tenenbaum bearer. Okay.
Sorry, big yawn. He puts a hand on his chest and gives a slight bow. Even sitting down in front of a half-finished breakfast plate, he manages to make the motion look somehow dignified.
I must stress that, as always, it's an honor to be in your presence.
I cannot help but smile at him. Most of the time, being a bearer is more of an ordeal than a blessing, but I have learned to appreciate the responsibility. Please, Lance, there's no need for that. I shake my head. And no, I do not usually speak of Brigantian witches. I usually have no reason to, unless there's some kind of upset. From what I have heard, though, the witches in Brigantia are content. There are still incidents involving witches in jail every so often, but thankfully, those incidents have been on the decline in the last year.
It does seem that way, though I cannot say with absolute certainty, because I do not have many witch acquaintances.
Ursa's eyes brighten. He seems to be lost in memory for a few moments, but then he speaks up.
Many of the witches I do know have visited the castle to perform extraordinary magical feats. Mother has a few witch acquaintances that help her decorate her midnight parties with enchanted objects.
Midnight parties? Emmeline looks at Lance in wonder.
Oh.
Mother's a bit of a night owl, so she throws many parties at night. She refers to her weekly evening celebrations as midnight balls.
I want to go to a midnight ball. Oh, that sounds lovely.
They are quite lovely, if not a bit overwhelming at times. But I suppose that's to be expected. Brigantia is known for its animated nightlife. It's sleepy when the sun is still up and lively when the moon rises. The balls are a particularly special nighttime celebration with renowned performers. One year, when Klaud and I were still young, my mother invited a witch whose specialty was magical gardening.
Magical gardening?
The witch conjured an entire field of colored roses.
But that's... Lance laughs.
Suffice it to say, it left quite the impression. I think we learned to appreciate roses a lot more after we were gifted with an entire field of them.
I wonder if such showcases are part of the reason Klaud loves roses so much. I think of the rose locket and smile.
What sort of magic do you specialize in, Princess Lucette?
I look up at Lance, momentarily perplexed. Laura taught me shields and ice first, so I'm probably most comfortable with those spells, but I do not consider them my specialty.
Cold.
Lucette's very good with ice. She made a sculpture of Klaud once for his birthday. Emmeline.
Wrecked.
Lance stares at me with clear impress.
You made a sculpture out of ice? That's amazing.
Klaud thought it was amazing too, even though I could never get his features right. He teased me about it for a long time afterwards, but he definitely distressed when I set the sculpture outside in the sun so that it would melt. There's a broom here that she animated to clean all on its own too. No, Mr. Broom is entirely Delora and Parfait's fault.
I can hear you from here.
I didn't want to bring it here at first, but in the end agreed to it because the thing wouldn't leave me alone when I visited the tavern.
This is the best storyline.
She actually brings it to the palace. I brought it here and tweaked the enchantment so that it could sweep on its own. Now at least Delora cannot renew the enchantment on it just to tease me.
Be careful what you wish for. You
What?
really shouldn't say that. You really shouldn't say that in your head about your teacher. That's a good way to get swept down the hallway.
With a new broom, because she legit can't, because Lucett's technically the more powerful witch. She's just the...
You think that's gonna stop her?
That's why I said... Forget Llama's llama army. It's gonna be Delora and her enchanted broom army.
Yeah.
There'll
No,
never
it will be an
cobweb
entire
again.
army. Yeah, no, there will never be a place that is dusty ever again.
No more cobwebs and corners. Rod looks up from his plate. Eyebrows raised. Yes, darling.
I love the fact that the broom is now the royal broom. It makes me so happy.
I thought we were gonna add on to Delora's broom army.
Oh, that's me. Hi. Sorry, I was still like mind trapped in the broom thing.
I don't blame you.
A little more than a year ago, Lucette created a light show in the dining hall. There was electricity bouncing everywhere.
That lightning spell was a difficult beginner spell. Lance laughs, looking delighted.
So you were a master of all trades. I wouldn't expect anything less from the Tenenbaum Bear. It is a shame that you can't come to Brigantia for a long enough time to meet the witches there. They speak of you fondly, even if they cannot see you often.
They do?
Most certainly.
That is surprising. But perhaps I'm making more progress with everyone than I first thought. I think about what Lance said about my inability to visit Brigantia. Unfortunately, I cannot leave Angiel for extended periods of time when I'm in Tenenbaum Bear. I have to remain in the kingdom because I am tied to the crystal. But my thoughts shift to Klaud. He's gone to visit Brigantia a number of times without me. But I know that he is sad I cannot join him. Because my own position is Tenenbaum Bear, I can never go to Brigantia and become a princess there. There is a reason why my wedding engagement with Klaud will make him a crown prince of Angiel. It's also the reason Klaud was forced to step down as the crown prince of Brigantia and hand the title over to his brother. Lance breaks through my thoughts with a question.
Might I be so bold as to ask for a demonstration? I would be happy to tell you more about Klaud if you would show me some of your magic.
Ophelia, who had been quietly listening in on our conversation, slowly stands from the table with a smile.
She's about to nope out.
I'll leave you all to it then, but please, no electric mishaps.
She immediately runs away like, yeah, I don't need to be accidentally shocked.
Nope.
I don't need to be accidentally shot again, thank you.
I am more than capable of controlling my electricity.
You said that last time.
Ophelia just smiles at my embarrassment before excusing herself from the table. Magical demonstration.
Dear, we stopped putting tablecloths on the table for a reason.
And she hasn't even learned fire magic yet. I'm still considering what spell to cast when the doors in the dining hall swing open and Klaud walks in. He looks somehow downtrodden, his expression broody.
Karma, you came just in time for the princess's magical demonstration.
Klaud turns and looks at me quizzically, his expression softening.
Then I have arrived at the perfect time.
He keeps walking until he's standing behind my chair. I'm relieved to see his initial stress completely disappeared from his face. I turn my gaze to the rest of the table. Everyone is looking at me expectantly.
Oops.
A spell. Should I do something that I'm comfortable with, or something new? I think we should do the ice spell.
I want to risk it for the biscuit, but you're so right. The ice spell is the obvious better choice. But at the same time,
I would say ice.
yeah.
Okay. We got 3 wrong so far. Please be right. Ah! An ice spell is always a safe spell. I scoot my chair back so that I have some space in front of me. Then I extend my arms and concentrate on the flow of magic beneath the surface of my skin. It took me a while to master this concentration, but after 2 years of practice, I've become quite adept at basic magic. I gather the ice in my fingertips, slowly but surely. Lance is staring with wide eyes, while Klaud looks on with a strangely mischievous smile.
Ah, I'm getting nostalgic already.
Nostalgic?
Lucette has tried more than a few times to best me in sword fighting with her ice.
I begin to form the ice into a shape with my fingers.
She never wins when that happens, of course, because cheaters.
I turn and hold the object out, pointing it at his chest. A sword crafted out of ice extends from my fingers, frozen in front of Claude's chest. Never prosper.
An ice sword.
Oh, that is definitely new.
It has a surprising amount of detail.
What do you mean, surprising? Claude
It's not
grins
just a
at me.
stick.
Claude grins at me, putting his fingers on the edge of the blade and lowering it from his chest.
How very charming.
It would not be so charming if I ran it through your heart. Lance stares at me in shock, but Claude just laughs.
I don't think having my heart broken by my fiancé would be so terrible, so as long as you mend it for me again.
The 2 of us exchange a smile before Claude leans down to inspect the sword.
It would be a shame to have such a beautiful sword get chipped in practice, though.
I shake my head and lower the sword. The ice is already beginning to magically melt, crumbling back into small flakes.
Beauty it is, as they say, ever so fleeting.
That was amazing, Zed. Your magic is beautiful.
And fierce.
Greater than colon C over there.
Sometimes too much so. Shut up.
I scoff.
No.
You make it sound like my magic is aggressive when it's not. I barely have any reason to use magic in the first place. Most of the time I only use it for convenience. And sometimes use it to make gifts for Claude, just to upstage him. Lance thanks me again for the demonstration before excusing himself. He and Emmeline rush off for extremely important plans. Rod heaves out a great sigh before eventually following after them. Hope I'm not trying too hard for my birthday celebration tomorrow. I remain with Claude while he eats a late breakfast, and then head out with him when he is done. I know that our time together will not last long. Claude has taken off to another lesson, and I have a meeting with my father. It's another discussion about the implementation of new laws in AGL. After a quick exchange of farewells, we separate and go our own ways. The day turns out to be busier than I anticipated. Except for a short hour break in between, I barely see Claude. He manages to give me his gift for a day in between our responsibilities. It is a feat for the eyes, a simple yet elegant blue dress decorated with lilies.
Aw.
Claude is good at selecting dresses. Given his prior experience with them, the king always seems surprised when I tell him that Claude helps me compile my wardrobe. I know I'll have to wear this dress sometime soon as well. This thought hangs in my mind as I continue about my business. The rest of the day passes in a blur.
Get you a boyfriend that dresses just as well as you do.
Willie helps me pick out my makeup, and he does a good job.
Good form, Willie, good form.
I'm learning, okay? I gotta start small.
You have a bunch of chicks that ask me if they can take you makeup shopping to help them pick out stuff, because they like the lipstick you picked out for me a lot.
My statement stands. I'm still learning. I'm starting small.
When the evening moves quickly, I have enough time to sit down to dinner with my family before I have a meeting with a witch from town. By the time I'm finally able to head back to my room, it's 10 past 9. My body feels completely heavy. Sorry, my throat got really dry for a moment there. And all I want to do is crash into my bed. I just turned a bend in the corner when I hear soft music coming through the halls. I stop to listen. Klaud must be playing the piano. Strange. He usually doesn't play if I'm not there to play with or watch him. I'll walk the rest of the way to my bedroom, then push the door open quietly so not to disturb Klaud. The music wafts out from the room like a gentle breeze. The minute I step inside, I see Klaud at the piano, fingers gliding across the keys to create the beautiful sounds emanating from the instrument. He's so immersed in his music that he doesn't notice when I step inside and shut the door behind him. He looks solemn yet at peace, his eyebrows drawn in concentration as he focuses on the keys. Even as I watch, the richness of his expression begins to crumble away into a gentle smile. The song is so beautiful. Will I break his concentration if I move to sit beside him? Ah, fuck. I don't know what to pick. So it's on you guys.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
I don't, but I know the right thing to do.
I say
Patiently wait.
Yeah, I say wait.
What do you think, Abby?
Well, I guess because she thinks that it might break his concentration, I guess we should wait.
Okay. We'll wait.
Cause I mean, hey, fiance sits next to me, cute, but like he's kind of having a moment.
Yeah, no, when someone is lost in their music, you leave them alone.
I think I would like to hear this song through its... Someone help me say that word.
Denouement.
Denouement? Okay. Wasn't sure if that was it or not. I will wait. I situate myself by the door so I can give myself a better vantage point. Klaud continues to play for a long time, his fingers effortlessly gliding across the keys. I can tell by the way he stares at the keyboard that he is lost in the music and does not realize I'm there. It's only when his eyes begin to wander to the sheet music in front of him that he loses focus and notices me. At first there is surprise on his face, and then a gentle smile. Much to my relief, he does not stop playing. His eyes stray from me again as he continues to study the music sheet. Seeing him so involved in the music makes my heart lighter. Whatever melancholy I sense from him before is gone when he plays. This time is important to him. I won't want to end it abruptly.
You're so quiet, Lucette. Starstruck by my playing, are we?
Maybe, though I believe my skill at the piano is equal to yours.
Oh, is that so?
Klaud chuckles as he puts his hand away from the piano keys. The music stops abruptly, and the room is awash in serene silence. I consider moving to sit beside Klaud, but he's already screwed up the edge of the seat. He sets his arm down the piano and angles his head slightly, smiling mischievously.
Feel like a criminal caught in the middle of a crime.
A criminal?
Smooth criminal?
Playing without an audience always makes me feel that way. Especially when my audience pretends to be invisible.
I didn't want to disturb your practice. I look at him, curious. I haven't heard this song before. I wanted to see if I recognized it, but it was unfamiliar. I wonder if it was a song he learned back in Brigantia. What song were you playing?
I wonder.
Is it really necessary to keep it a secret? The song wasn't meant to be a surprise for tomorrow, was it? Klaud just looks at me with his lips curved into a cat-like smile. I'm going to assume that is a yes. I move to sit down on the edge of my bed. If you're in here playing, I can assume that you are done for the day? Klaud lets out a sigh as he leans dramatically back on the piano, one arm draped across its surface, the other one resting on his forehead.
I'm afraid the night still has yet more excitement for me.
Is it meeting with father, or assignments from your history tutor? Klaud scoffs at me.
I'll have you know, I'm on top of all of my assignments. I'm just as excellent a pupil as I am an instructor.
Your ego knows no bounds.
It's confidence, love. Confidence.
So many good one-liners in this.
Klaud sighs as he stands up and stretches. Afterwards, he turns to look at me.
I'm afraid I have certain plans for tomorrow that I must check on.
Plans for the birthday party. You really don't need to work so hard for me, Klaud. Much to my surprise, Klaud's smile slips, his expression fading into something more somber.
I will always work hard for you, Lucette. I would do anything for you. That will never change, even if I cannot be...
He stops suddenly, his lips sealed. You cannot be what? Klaud looks at me, startled for a few moments. He steps back towards the door, then, abruptly, he begins to laugh.
Never mind me. A tired man says a lot of, peculiar things.
When he smiles, the look is once again melancholy. It's a sad smile. Klaud, are you okay?
Yes, he said. I'm just a little tired. Don't look at me like that. I'll be fine come tomorrow morning.
Klaud. He stops at the door, hand on the knob.
Yes, darling.
You remember that we promised there would be no secrets between us, right?
I would never forget a promise I made with you, Lucette.
He says the words with enough conviction that I cannot help but feel relieved.
It is just a passing stress, I promise.
I hold my head, relenting.
Now I regret to say it, but I'll be a little later tonight. So you don't need to wait up for me.
He blows me a kiss.
I love you, Lucette. Good night.
Good night, Klaud. He steps up through the door and closes it behind him. Once he's gone, I fall back down on my bed, my eyes swirling closed. My body welcomes the softness of the sheets and the comfort of my pillows. I wonder if there's a way to figure out why Klaud looks so sad. Someone could tell me how to help him when he's like this. The question whirls around my mind for a while, but it's not long before the desire to sleep overwhelms my worry. Not long after I close my eyes, I find myself drifting away into slumber.
I'm very curious as to where this is going.
Same. When I next wake, my bedroom is dark and quiet. The first thing I'm aware of is my heart, which is beating painfully against my chest. Another nightmare. I put a hand to my forehead as I glance around my room. I notice that Klaud is lying beside me, undisturbed. The gentle rise and fall of his chest, along with his soft breathing, tells me that he's asleep. I find the clock in my room and stifle a laugh. It's just past midnight. I have no idea how long Klaud has been asleep, and I do not want to wake him. Sometimes, when the nightmares are terrible, I end up waking Klaud to discuss them with him. Other times, when I'm sure he needs the rest, I do my best to forget the nightmares on my own. I could use some fresh air. I quietly slide out of the bed and make my way towards the door. I glance over my shoulder at Klaud one last time before quietly stepping outside and shutting the door behind me. The palace corridors are quiet at night, save for the muted footsteps of the patrolling knights. At first, I'm at a loss for what to do with myself. I could sit in the garden, or I could walk through the hallways until the voices fade. My legs begin to move on their own. Every step sends me down the hallway and closer to a branching corridor. I'm not entirely sure where I'm headed, but I tell all the knights I meet on my way that I'm only wandering for some peace of mind. I've just moved into the conjoined corridor when I see a familiar face. Princess? Jurian stops in front of me, her eyebrows drawn together in a clearly anxious expression. Good evening, Jurian. Good evening, Your Highness. Couldn't sleep? It's been a restless night. Are you still working? For a little while longer, yes. And what about you? Just taking a midnight stroll? I've bumped into Jurian a few times in these aimless night strolls, and she always worries. There's no cause for concern. You say that, Princess, but a royal's actions are a concern to us knights. And now that I have to keep my eyes out for both you and the prince. The prince? Rod is also up? Oh no, Prince Lance of Brigantia. He was out here earlier muttering to himself. That is a little strange. I saw him head to the dining hall last. I sent a few knights over that way just in case. Perhaps he just left his room for a midnight snack. Klaud used to be up at midnight all the time when he first came here. It sounds like typical Brigantian lifestyle. Anyway, if you need anything from me, I'll be on patrol for a little while longer. Don't hesitate to call me Princess. I won't. Thank you, Jurian. Jurian turns to walk away, but then pauses to glance over her shoulder. Oh, and Princess? I hope we all get to practice together again soon. Yes, I hope so. It's been a long time since all four of us have been able to participate in mock battles. Jurian flashes me a small smile before she strides away from me to continue her patrol. Flit's up right now. Perhaps I should go see him. Following what I thought, I began to make my way to the dining hall. Sure enough, the first thing I notice when I step into the dining hall is Lance, who's sitting at the head of the dining table, his hands clasped as if in prayer. He's murmuring something beneath his breath. Lance? Lance glances up at me, bewildered. His shock almost makes me feel guilty. Did I interrupt something?
No, not at all.
He lets out a deep sigh, his shoulders sagging slightly. A weight seems to fall off of him as he does so, and when he looks up, he once again excludes his usual cheer.
I was wandering around the palace when I noticed the dining hall was empty. I just wanted to sit down for a few moments to practice a speech, but...
He looks down at the table. The downcast expression takes me by surprise, as it's very uncharacteristic of a very charming... as a usually very charismatic Lance.
Sometimes I get so caught up in memorizing that I forget about everything around me. I'm sorry.
There's no need to apologize, but you're practicing a speech. For whom? It's fine, you don't need to speak about it if you don't want to.
Look at that face.
It's a Rod face. He's rubbing off on him. I'm about to head out again when Lance calls my name, making me stop.
Have you ever given a direct speech to the people, Princess?
Before, I used to shun people. I just like going anywhere near them. Since breaking my curse, however, I've learned to open up to the townsfolk. The king has me address them directly on their monthly rides out to town. Of course.
I see.
If you're asking me that question, I'm assuming that's because you're practicing a speech for a big audience? Lance smiles, a little half-heartedly.
I was. The moment Klaud became engaged to you, I became next in line for the Brigantian throne. Father has been waiting for me to give a speech officially announcing myself as Brigantia's crown prince.
The moment Klaud asked for my hand in marriage, he had to relinquish his position as the crown prince of Brigantia. It never occurred to me that Lance would have to take over something he was unprepared for. And how's the speech going? Lance sighs.
Yeah, terribly. I die a slow death in front of large crowds. Klaud has always been better at speeches than I have. I prefer speaking to people one-on-one. Large crowds are terrifying.
He has stage fright? No doubt both of you have your own strengths. Talking to so many people at once requires practice.
Right.
Lance still looks disheartened. The look on his face is so similar to Klaud's that I cannot help feel a stab at my heart. Well, I mean, while we're standing here, I think we might as well offer him help.
I can see merit for trying to send him to Klaud because if they're both like work oriented, them working together might help them chill out a bit around each other.
Yeah.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, mine was because we're standing right here, and also she struggled to talk to people too, so she could probably
That's
relate
also
a little
fair.
more.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also fair.
Yeah, that's my reasoning.
He also may not want to go to Claude for help.
Yeah.
Also
Even
true.
if it's suggested.
Yeah, it would have to be pushed. Okay. Yeah, I could see the offer being a good one. We'll see. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're like zero for zero at the moment.
Yeah,
so.
we are, and I'm sad.
What the hell do
It's
we
as
know?
bad as Rod so far.
Pretty
Alright.
much.
Willie, what do you think?
I would say offer to help him
Go
right
for it.
now.
What
Okay,
the
so
hell?
that's 3 for this one.
Princess, you don't need to go out of your way to offer assistance.
He shifts uncomfortably in his chair. Once again, I'm surprised by his discomfort. I always assumed Lance spoke to people just as much ease as Claude. He attracts so much attention, I assume he was used to crowds.
That's probably why he doesn't.
I'm offering because I have experience and because I may be able to provide some assistance. Half the reason this obligation now rests on Lance's shoulders is because of me, after all.
Princess, that is very kind of you.
He smiles gently.
I would most definitely appreciate your help. Thank you. And in exchange,
He looks at me, at a loss.
Is there anything you would request of me?
You told me earlier today that you would tell me more about Claude after performing magic for you.
Oh. Well, if you want embarrassing childhood stories, I'm more than happy to oblige.
Lance laughs. Lance laughs. It's such a carefree and happy sound that I cannot help but laugh with him. It's a deal then.
Oh.
Lance looks at me, wide-eyed. What is it?
It's past midnight, isn't it? I had almost forgotten.
Forgotten?
To wish you a happy birthday.
The smile Lance gives me is so shiny it almost sparkles.
Almost.
A very blessed happy birthday to you, Lucette. May both your nights and your days be filled with endless cheer and good company.
He has a name.
Thank you, Lance. If Claude knew Lance was the first to wish me happy birthday, he would cry. The thought makes me
All
smirk.
the more worth it.
My conversation with Lance is cut short after that one. At one point, instead of responding to him with words, I respond with an unintended yawn. I excuse myself for a second. I relieved that my conversation with Lance has helped clear the nightmares from my mind. I'm sure that Lance will be able to solve his problems with help. As for my problems, push the thought of Claude's melancholy smile from my mind. For now, it's better not to think about it. Claude will want me to enjoy my birthday celebration without worrying about him. So for now, I will set aside these worries. I walk back to my room, feeling a lot lighter than what I had when I first left. Chapter 3, Lilies and Roses. Alright, this one's gonna be our last chapter for tonight.